Y'all hear that? I hear voices. They're coming from behind the wall. Oh shit, I already started this right. Short intro. I like it. Fast, to the point. Gets us there. Approved. Pops up there. There it is. Share. Well, an avatar. She's not going on camera this evening. It says share. Cherrr. So share. Well, that's what she don't know. Share does what a lot of us do. Mic check. Got y'all's ears on? Y'all hearing me? One time I live streamed for 5 minutes with my mic off. Had was on a spiel, a rant, if you will. Wasn't paying attention to chat. Look down. People's like, asshole won't ever realize we don't hear nothing. She gives a roll call. Hey, welcome, hey. Oh, it's you, ain't seen you in a minute. Hey, good to see you, how's the kids? That's a roll call. I do it myself. Hey. Says mods, hard questions will be tolerated. Let's not be too touchy-feely tonight, but keep it respect. I concur. Says childish comments will be removed. Consider that a warning. Fair enough. I wasn't there live, or I'd have got in on that. And now we're ready. Enter Don Wells. Box comes up. We got Cher in one box. We got Donnie Wells in the other. Behind them, we have some robed individuals performing, let's call it some sort of ceremony. It was dark, let's say that. Pretty dark. Cher. Don starts off the show with a prayer. Everybody bow your heads. Don's going to say a little prayer. Get us started. Don says he wants to pray for all the kids currently being kidnapped. Don gives lowdown on the Sabbath, how it should be on a Saturday, not a Sunday, because back in the Roman times, I'm sure y'all know the story. Don tells us Sabbath starts on Friday evening, goes till Saturday evening, 24 hours. Don says he has updates and good news, and it'll be shared soon. And he doesn't elaborate on that much, so I don't know. Cher tells us she's been trying to quit saying OMG too much. She feels like she uses it too much. Like every time somebody says something, she's like, OMG. I get it. There's stuff I do that with. Nothing comes to mind right now, but I'm sure. Bullshit. I say bullshit way too much. That's I need to calm it down. Someone says, a worker at Warrior State Park says Candace was there for a couple of hours. I don't know. Allegedly. Don says straight up, Candace, Grandis? Nah, neither one of them would be drinking twisted tea. Yeah, you kind of threw Candace under the bus on that one then. Cause she bought it. She knew she didn't like it. She knew Grandis didn't like it. Why'd she buy it? Only one other person in the car. Well, two other. And neither one of them needed to be drinking twisted tea. Don says, and he says this a couple times for some reason, Summer was really cautious. I don't know. Don says Candace and H had a mother-son relationship. Don says, and I thought this was a bombshell moment, and they went back and forth about this for a second, that Grandis got a new phone that day. Not that she was loading minutes, that she got a new phone that day. And this goes back and forth, and each time, that's what he says. Now that's a game changer in my book. You mean to tell me that was a new phone, that she bought a new burner phone on the day her granddaughter went missing? Not loading minutes on the one she already had, but bought a new one? If that's accurate, and that's what he says, that's really interesting. Don clears it up. Swimming home. Second to last time Summer was photographed. The milk jug photo, last time. That's the way I think we all understood it, but that's the order Don's putting it in. Clearing it up. Once again, he brings up Summer. He says, Summer was cautious. You know, being a girl. I happen to have a daughter. She's twice the daredevil my son's were. So I don't know what he means. They're talking about the swimming, because all this, during this, if I failed to mention this, they're watching Chris McDonough's interview with H about the swimming hole, basically, and some other stuff. They're watching this. Cher's playing it, getting Dawn's opinion on stuff that H is saying, which is, I thought, a genius idea. Because I've always wondered, like, stuff that is said, stuff that Candace said, what Dawn thinks. And we get a lot of that about stuff that is said, what Dawn thinks about that. Cher, thumbs up, good job. This is the kind of stuff that might get answered. Cher says she may do a video going underwater, see how long she can stay, kind of a reenact. You could share, or you could just Google it. How long can a person go underwater for? I don't know the relevancy because H's details seem not to match. Dawn says H was good at watching the kids. I get the feeling like when everybody was together, H was kind of like the babysitter. Dawn says H was a perfect gentleman. Dawn confirms Candace did like to pick flowers, look for rocks, collect driftwood in her spare time. Because H is talking about Candace was looking at flowers at some point during the swimming video. Cher confirms I like to collect rocks as well. Dawn tells us swimming hole? Never been to that spot. Dawn again says H always was looking out for the kids. Seemed like a good dude. Dawn never seemed to really dump on H, considering some of the things that H says that, we don't know if they can be verified or not. So that's interesting to me. Dawn says he does not believe it was a case of dry drowning. Dawn says he absolutely believes that Summer made it home that day. Dawn's unfamiliar with the hippie house, but he knows that stuff they sell, it's low grade. It ain't good weed. Cher tells Dawn, I picked me up a 10-pack of spliffs on the way home. Dawn's jealous. Cher's from Canada, so it's legal there. Dawn's like, man, it must be nice. Dawn says, Candace, she don't smoke any Delta 8 crap. Dawn says, boy, I'd like to smoke me some weed, but on probation. Can't do it. That sucks. Dawn says, Cher asks Dawn, what the church thinks of smoking cigarettes. Dawn's like, you don't think the church likes it? Dawn says, I think God would be cool with weed for self-medicating. Dawn says, him and H always hug, and every time he's seen H, he give him a big old hug. Dawn says he don't know what LOLs are. They're these little dolls. They have big eyes. My daughter used to have some. But he knows that all Summer's toys are packed away. Dawn says he don't know for sure. He wasn't there about Candace giving H the tea or the vape. I feel confident about the tea now, knowing that Dawn himself says Dawn and Candace, or Candace and Grandis, don't drink tea. Dawn makes a valid point. On the McDonough interview, what we're looking at is Allison smoking and Grandbun smoking. I mean, it's cloudy and it's outside. And he's like, well, H smoking, y'all act like it's on Candace. Look at this. Look at these role models. I feel you, Dawn. I mean, Candace shouldn't be letting him smoke either, but, it seems like a lot of people around him that have his best interests at heart. They go over the thing about Summer's hair, and Dawn says the exact same thing he said on WJHL to Cher in this interview, word for word. I swear to God, it was almost creepy how close his words matched to what he said in that interview. Like it was rehearsed. Dawn starts complaining. This Chris McDonough interview putting me to sleep. Getting tired. Orange soda. Dawn don't know nothing about it. Don't know who'd be drinking the orange soda. They're Mountain Dew people at the Wells house. Dawn says originally CPS was called over somebody saying that he was letting the children play with loaded guns. Dawn says he wants that CPS caller's identity. I would think they would have to provide him with that. I think they should. I think if somebody calls CPS on you, you should get to know who it was. For sure. Especially if think about the people that do that and it's unfounded. I want to know who I'm suing. Fast. Dawn says on June 14th, the case was closed. CPS came, supervisor, all of them, everything seemed legit. Dawn said, though, one of the CPS workers seemed to be watching Summer awful close. Dawn says, the thing with the boys getting taken, what happened was the case got reopened when Summer went missing. See, I would think that would have to be a separate case. Because if you close the case is closed. That's it, right? So they started a case, I'm assuming, over Summer going. Dawn once again says, them taking the boys, he agreed with them at the time. Too much danger at the house, they'd be safe. Never understood that. I don't see, and before Summer went missing, I even then knew that the system wasn't the greatest. I would never feel like my children would be safer in CPS custody than my own. So I don't understand that at all, no matter what's going on around. Dawn says it for the first time, the CPS and the family court are the mafia. Big, organized crime ring. He says he believes CPS has something to do with Summer's disappearance. That's interesting. This is new. Never heard him mention. He thought, he's always said, or he's been saying for a while now, that he feels like CPS conned him kind of out of the boys. But now he's actually saying he thinks CPS is behind Summer's disappearance. Don says nobody in the world would suspect CPS is the perfect cover. And he says he wants CPS to hear him. He wants them to know. He thinks they're the reason his daughter's missing. See, that's wild to me. Because I would think if it was that big next level, that I wouldn't want them knowing that I knew until I had some kind of awesome protection set up or had put it out in the mainstream media. Because I'd be afraid I'd come up missing if it really was something that big, that high level. Just saying. You should not. Then he goes on to say, he don't want to think cops were involved. But allegedly, somebody said there was a cop in the area around the time Summer went. Don gets real disappointed because Cher wants to finish playing the interview after she had stopped it. They had talked for a minute. She's like, all right, we're going to go back to the McDonough interview. Don's like, tired of watching. They're at the point of the interview where H is talking about Candace getting plastered all the time and losing the kids. Don says that's total malarkey. That Candace doesn't drink till after he's home from work and the kids are taken care of for the evening. Then she'll sit back, have her a few cocktails. That H is making up the stuff about her getting blown out every day. Every evening. A lot. Regularly. Don says the dogs went, smelled a scent of Summers, her clothes, went directly from that basement door down to the road. If that's true, why has law enforcement come out and said there's no signs of an abduction? That seems like the sign of an abduction to me. Just saying. He says the CPS worker watched Summer and knew the layout of the house. So that's how this was pulled off. Don admittedly says he has vetted this supervisor, this woman that he thought was looking at Summer too much. Comes out clean. Squeaky clean. Can't find nothing on her. Seems like a good person. Not sure. Don refers to the CPS as the $70 billion a year mafia, which the system is messed up. This seems like a little much, but I'll agree, it's not great. Don says the CPS is currently brainwashing the boys and they're all three being medicated. That's not, if that's true, it may be for the trauma they've experienced, but I don't like to think that there's kids taking medicine if it's not really necessary. I don't think it's good, personally, in my opinion. Don says CPS keeps pushing this, there's no hope, just sign over the boys. Narrative at him. Like they're trying to get him just to give in. And this is so confusing to me, because I seen this a long time ago. He says CPS talks to him like he's shit. Like they speak to him really bad, like down talk him or condescending to him. Don says prior to Summer coming up missing, there's never been this scare of a kid not being accounted for like H is claiming. Because H said that Candace had lost the kids before, she'd gone drunk and high at the same time and thought they were missing when they weren't. Don says it's never happened. H is misinformed. That's when, guess who shows up? Benjamin Keyz, Bernard. Things took a less beneficial for something positive to happen turn, we'll say. Benny Keyz. I knew as soon as he showed up this shit was going to go south and it was going to start being about something dumb, and that's exactly what happened. Don says they took the TVs, the tablets, and the boys' cell phones and have never returned them to this day. That's wild. That makes me wonder if those things aren't evidence of something. Just saying. Don talks about he kicked in Fred Hill's door that night. Well, that seems kind of pointless now, since now you're saying CPS is behind it. Benny asks a dumb question. I didn't write down what the question was. Benny states the obvious. I didn't write down what he said. Don says he hasn't, they're talking about, at the point in the Chris McDonough interview where H is talking about Candace rushing to the police station for reward money. That's what brought this up. And Don says he hasn't made a penny off Summer. Well, you have received money off a YouTube channel that's well known for covering Summer's disappearance. So, potato. Don says Candace was good with the kids. He don't know why H made the statements he did. Because H is like, he thinks Candace could be involved. Says she's a mean old, nasty old woman. Don does seem to think so. Don says I ain't putting on a front anymore. The person that did this to Summer, I have murderous feelings toward that person. Yeah, that's what we expect. We never got why anybody would answer how you used to answer the question of what you would do to the person that took your dog. That makes more sense now. So I don't know why you ever put on the front you did. Dawn says, if anybody talked to Andy, it was Dawn, not Candace. He was the one that would go to the Andy if they need some green. So he don't know what H is talking about these messages. The two have been talking to each other behind Dawn's back? I don't know. Possibly. I mean, Andy did date JSB. So Dawn makes a valid point. If H seen all that stuff in Candace's phone, well, TBI's seen it too because they got her phone. Then he talks about the cop allegedly being in the area. And he uses the word allegedly. So when we hear allegedly, we know it's... He says, Scott H even has video of this stuff. Dash cam video. But don't want to let it out because the timestamps don't match. Then Benny brings up Ernie Shell. And that's when this went all off the rails. Anything you could have learned just went out the window because now it goes into nonsense mode. Benny says, Dawn, when is the first time you know of there was a Ernie Shell exposure in your area? Benny brings up some nonsense about some woman who says she seen on Facebook a picture of Summer that was posted after Summer disappeared, but it was current. And he said that woman said she had proof that Summer was alive and she reported it to the FBI. So that proof the woman, she seen it on Facebook. Then Benny starts talking about Fizzle and Liplock and Ernie. Benny says, Dawn, you should have been a criminal. You missed your calling. Benny, you're an idiot. Have you ever seen Dawn's background? He is a criminal. Benny says, this shows it's from a year ago. Look, it says 21. Share corrects him. Benny, that'd make it 2. Wow! So Benny's trying to tie all this nonsense from some woman said she seen something on Facebook that proves something to the false sighting of Summer in Indiana. Benny says, Summer's become Jesus to some people. Benny says, that video of that woman saying this stuff that's irrelevant, don't matter. Don't go to her place and watch that. Go to Tiffany's. Tiffany's got it. Go there, watch it. It's nonsense, irrelevant, crap. Highly recommend. Ask Dawn if you had to say right now, what do you think happened? He says, CPS is my bet. Dawn says he wants Sharon Benny help him look into this CPS to help him invest. Benny says, Sharon, your chat is vicious. Benny, you're on a damn ankle monitor. You ain't exactly a kitten. How are you? Benny says, he thinks CPS took the boys, yes, but thinks Summer's situation's different. Apparently he thinks he's going to find the answers on Facebook. Benny says, Dawn, you need to start getting some of these channels shut down. It's putting out nonsense and shit like that. I agree, Dawn. You need to put down the nonsense bullshit channels. You need to get them put down. Benny, I guess it's the last time we'll be seeing each other, so peace! Dawn gives a big public thank you to Tim Mullins, all the help he's done and how hard it's been on Tim and all Tim's been through in this fight. Benny gives this patriotic speech about how here in America, land of the free, home of the brave, it's innocent until proven. Benny says, y'all, thanks for having me. To that I say, Benny, thanks for leaving. Dawn says, there's a lot happening right now behind the scenes. He wish he could share. Can't right now. Maybe soon. Cher asks Dawn, go ahead and check with the church about their weed philosophy. I'm interested to know on that. I don't know if Cher's thinking about joining or what. And she's wanting to be like, well, hey, if they're cool with weed, might be church for me. Yeah, Dawn, I'm interested in knowing that also. Dawn says, self-medication, smoke your little weed, drink your little booze. It's okay, as long as it's in moderate. Dawn says, I want to smoke right now. Well, I'm going to church. I don't know. I tell you what, out of all this, I think the biggest takeaway was if Dawn's got that straight about Grandis bought that phone that day. To me, that makes it a lot different than loading minutes onto a phone you already have. You bought a burner phone on the day your granddaughter went missing. If that's a fact, that is a hell of a coincidence that you would buy a burner phone on the day your granddaughter goes missing. Just saying.